Welcome to the Four Rooms podcast, where we explore the four rooms of entrepreneurship: health, wealth, scale, and relationships. Each episode is dedicated to opening new doors and uncovering insights that empower you to design your entrepreneurial journey to be both lucrative and fulfilling. And now, your hosts, Amber Spears and Brett Kaufman.
All right, so welcome to the Four Rooms podcast. I am here with Kayvon and with Marcus with the Sales Connection.
Yes.
Very happy to have you both here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Dude, thanks for, you guys, the listeners and the viewers don't know, but you guys have been devoted for the last few hours to helping our whole community with sales. And thank you guys for coming. You guys raised your hands to lead this community on this one, and I'm incredibly grateful. So thank you. We picked you because you guys are world-class at what you do. So that's what we want here is the best. Before we jump into kind of what you guys do, I'd love to hear how this bromance happened. Like, how did you guys meet? What's the story? Why did you guys decide to be business partners?
I was lost and then I was found.
Oh, really? It was here, Jesus.
Yeah.
You know, I'll tell you, I'll take a step back and say, they say never go in business with your best friends, right? Mm. Well, we defied that, I think, for sure, at least this far. And they say never hire your best friends, and we've done that too. And it's challenging. Some of them are challenging, but the challenges that come from it still, to me, don't outweigh the number one thing that I get when we hire good people is trust and honor. And I know that the integrity will always be there, and they'll speak a version of the Sales Connection that we would like everyone to speak in a way that I don't think you can just get with just an outsider, right? So for me, at this level of my life, where I'm out the business, is I still, depending on the right skill set and everything, I still would do that. But we know the hardships of it as well. It's not easy. But for us, we actually grew up ski racing. Cool. So 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16.
Who's better?
They always ask that.
Well, it depends. I don't know.
Depends on the good day.
I think Kayvon could probably beat me in slalom any day, and GS it's a coin toss. And then you get into downhill, which is a bit crazier, and Kayvon's crazy, he ends up making him go a little bit.
You know what?
faster
We were competitive.
We were neck and neck.
Marcus would win or lose the race before the race even started.
It was in his mind.
We're talking about milliseconds, right? But it was interesting because so we ski race, but we weren't friends then. You knew each other because you always skiing at the same every weekend you kind of meet up, right? And we were knew of each other, and he would get beat up if I beat him, and there was
because he was from the north and I was from the south.
There was
a rivalry.
There was a turf war. So and then I about 20 years old, I showed up at his actually private club, and we were coaching. We got to coaching, and long story short, I was living about an hour away from where the club was, and there was a big club party, and he asked that night. He said, "Where are you going? Are you coming to the party?" I was like, "No, I got to drive home." He's like, "No, stay at my chalet." And I never left.
That's awesome.
Legit, never left. And,
3 or 4 seasons.
We became somehow it was.
Awesome.
They say the yin and yang, right? It's true. Yeah. Like the opposites attract. We couldn't be more opposite of each other, but we make it work. So we went. I brought him. I couldn't get through the university program.
Oh, that's another funny story. So I was working in healthcare before sales, and I get this phone call. Marcus. How do you feel about going to university? I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to apply. I'm like, whatever. I've already done 3 years of this thing. And he's like, well, I talked to your mom and got your transcripts, and I've already applied for you, and I pretended to be you. And you're gonna tell your boss at lunchtime that your last day is 2 weeks from now, and we're going to school, and you're gonna help me get through.
Because I knew he wasn't going to do it. Yeah. So again, we got to go to university, and then we went away in our own working careers. And then I got into high-ticket sales. So I got in the high-ticket world in 2015, and that's when the business side of my life started. And just like every other entrepreneur, I jumped in with all the bells and whistles and excitement, thinking I was going to be a millionaire in 3 months. And a year later, I was $150,000 in debt, 7 days from bankruptcy.
Whoa! How did you turn that around?
When I was standing in line to go claim bankruptcy, I remember all the books I've read were saying there's going to comes a point when you start your business where you're going to be pushed. And most people walk away and they give up, or they stop doing the one thing that they need to be doing. And something came over me, so I actually left that day and went back to the drawing board and remembered in the other books, hey, like how many times did Colonel Sanders have to ask for, the recipe, right? So I picked up the phone and I started calling everyone on my list, and it was 27th. So the 27th, lucky it wasn't 100 or 200, but the 27th person I asked, I said, hey, I need $30,000, to give to this mentor who's promised me that he was going to tell me what I need to do to fix the situation. Can you do it? And he said, I've always believed in you.
Oh, wow.
And he gave me the money and gave it right to the mentor. And the mentor showed me that there was a world called high ticket sales. I had a sales background. And we basically, within 30 days, I was earning $25,000 a month. So I was losing $25,000 trying to do Facebook ads and copy, all that stuff, to earning $25,000 with none of those expenses. And then a couple of months later, he asked, do you think we can teach this? And I was like, well, we can teach this. Let's go, baby.
Oh, that's such a great story.
Little did we know, 18 months later, $38 million, trained over, at that point, 15,000 sales reps in 100 different countries. But when that business was getting started, there was a huge void in his excellence and what he does in operations.
Like more ops and just figuring stuff out and general purpose problem solver. And I got a call. It's like, hey, do you think you can like help us build a commission spreadsheet for $400? I'm like, yeah, I'll moonlight for $400. And then so I built this big complicated thing. It probably should have been 40,000. And like all of a sudden I see the commissions coming in 10,000 and then 25,000. And then like there was a promo that I didn't know was going on, and 125K in one day. And I'm like, okay, I know you came from the pharmacy, but like, are you selling drugs? Like, what are you, what's going on here? And then they flew me out to Vancouver and I kind of met everyone. I became the COO, and then I helped like bring a bit of a more tenured business acumen like flavor to it. Mm-hmm. And I was in that position for about 18 months, and we blew it up. It was fun.
And then that's when you guys decided to start the sales connection.
Yeah, so after that there was we broke off, and then I went and we kind of went our own ways, and then we started, and then I said, let's do this again, but let's do it our way. Let's do it for other people. So we started the Sales Connection, and we've had the luxury to work with some of like the world-class people in the marketplace, like the Garrett White. I personally got to work with Grant Cardone, the Roger Loves, Hollywood #1 vocal coach. Who else? The Onyx and Gulls, some of the players, like the world's the biggest players in our industry. So when you work with the top tier and have success with them, you get to see some common trends and stuff, and it's fun.
What are some common trends that you see?
The reason why some people buy, now you're going to get me into my talk here because I don't want to do my talk tomorrow, but like...
It's okay, there's going to be a lot of people who listen, so I'm not going to be here.
I'll just say this, at the end of the day, the deep psychology of what people are actually buying is they're not buying the products, they're not buying services, they're not buying the next best gadget, they're buying a better version of themselves. And when you understand that, you can speak to them in a different way, in a deeper way.
Damn.
Especially in high ticket, right? So I'm not talking about selling pens and notebooks and stuff like that. I'm talking about closing the art of deals that truly matter. Transformation, yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
So is this like a classic integrator visionary
Very
duo? Because it feels like that in a lot of ways.
Without knowing it though.
Yeah, I'd say pretty close to the classic. I think the only deviation of that is like we both have ADHD. We're both the ADHD type. Kayvon's is a little different than mine.
Right.
But as far as like, I'm the total geek engineer brain, and Kayvon's the total sales brain. Yeah.
It works, right? And what works for us with clients, and I think why clients love it, is I'm scary, right? Because I'm future and all go. And then he talks and he's safe, and then so they get this kind of this balance. So it works.
Well,
because if they don't like me, they'll like him. He slows things down. Yeah.
He has to.
Yeah.
That's what a good integrator does.
The gas and the brakes.
Exactly. Yeah. I love that, dude.
Yeah.
So tell me, like, with what you're doing right now with Sales Connection, like, who are some, like, people that you've helped? Maybe you don't want to share, like, their specific names, but could you share, like, some stories? So I always like to, like, have viewers or listeners put themselves in the position of your clients, right? So what would it mean for their business if they had somebody like you partnering with them or working with them? And one of the things I love about you guys that I've loved from the beginning is you guys are not like a traditional sales floor. You guys really act as partners inside the business, and that's a model I haven't really seen a lot of. I think it's really unique and it's really special, and I'm sure your churn's really low because of that. So if you could break down first, like, a couple stories or examples of how you've helped like clients and then also just how you guys are different, because I think it's good for people to hear diversity of like thoughts, opinions, how businesses are run.
Yeah, I would say this, because of our tenure and how long we've been doing this, we've had the privilege of working with startups all the way to like 9-figure companies. So one of our claim to fames, right, outside that 38 million in 18 months was another one where we basically built his business from $0 to, on average, he was doing about $600,000-$700,000 a month.
That's amazing.
Built it up so much, 23-year-old kid, right? Ends up then, when we learned in our way, right? Because we built a business, Marcus ends up running all the operations, then runs fulfillment. I mean, basically,
that was like, Kayvon had to talk to me a couple times.
You're the CEO
Stop
of
being the
Sales
CEO
Connection and his company, right?
And CMO too.
Yeah. And that was great. That was fun. That was fun when it last. And then we made him so much money, he just decided, I don't need money anymore. So that was fun for us. And then we've got to work with I'm thinking like a big financial publishing company where they're already doing $30 million a year.
Except they had member care and customer support really dialed in, but they had struggled with the sales team. The sales team was kind of small, and like they were stuck in their ways, and they were trying to grow, and they didn't have a recruiting pipeline, and they didn't have the SOPs, and they didn't have the systems, and they were working through a challenging Salesforce integration. And so we came in to just take the load off of the existing sort of chief of staff there who was flexing into the sales role so he could go do his great work and launch excellent offers. And then we just like built this internal sales department. They're all employees of the company. They're not employees of the Sales Connection. And we're like deeply integrated, acting as the director, manager, like system integration, like people within that sales department.
And I'm confident and happy to say that we did $1 million last week
Nice,
with that company. Yeah, so I mean, that's huge, right? So, and then we work with publishers too. So we work with guys like a 9-figure business. They have 3 or 4 different influencers. So we take all their leads and everything. What you did say that I think is very important is how we're different. So I said we're not like the typical like sales floors like you see in Utah where they have all these salespeople there and you just kind of send them your leads, and then at any given time, any kind of salesperson will pick up that phone and kind of close. There's not that connection there. For us, we, like you said, we're integrators. So we'll actually come in and we build the sales department, the sales process, sales floor, whatever it is, for your business. So we'll hire, recruit, ensure they come through the Sales Connection, but our reps know when they're working for us, they're actually working for like that influencer. One of our core pillars at the Sales Connection is one team. Because we're not 2 teams, we're all one team in the same vision, in the same, going in the same direction. So they adopt like the language and the nuance of the person we're working with. Because that might not work, but like our language does not work over here. Right.
Totally. So if they're in that example, let's say someone hires you and they're all under your one roof as well. Yeah. Like they're employees of that company, or they're employees?
Sometill we'll have clients that want, again, this $50 million company, law, they want them to be employees. So we're like, you do that because we don't have employees, we have contractors.
Right.
Most of the time we hire them, and then we bring them in. Yeah, it's all, So again, it's our systems, but we'll work in the company systems. So we're not one of those ones like have like our way, like HubSpot or nothing. It's what are you on right now? Okay, how do we adapt to it? If we need to change it, we'll change it. We're so bespoke that we'll do what it takes for success, and maybe to our disadvantage sometimes.
And another thing to our detriment, just about systems, to make sure we're like 100% clear on that. There are shops that have their own proprietary tech stack, right? So they may not even be a sales floor, but it's like you're using our CRM, you're sending the data to us, like like with every client we work with, it's their tech stack, it's their system.
That's
so
great.
If
you ever leave,
yes, that's what we do.
We can't rug pull them. We can't rug pull the people. We can't rug pull the system. So sometimes that bites us, but we try to go deep with people. We don't call them clients. We try to call them partners, because like one of the analogies we use is like we want to be that vendor, that client, that partner that you invite to your wedding, or that you invite to the bar mitzvah, or that you invite to the
like your kids. Your kids invite us to their weddings. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah. Long-term relationships. Like, I mean, that's where the whole Sales Connection came from.
Right.
Is connection.
So do you prefer to work with clients? Like it's all high ticket, obviously, right? Like,
yeah. So we really lowest price point now is around $5,000, but that even has to be at scale. So we are in the business of helping winners win more.
Yeah.
So we don't work with newbies anymore, and it's not because they don't deserve it or nothing, but we're actually got too advanced, and we've gotten a little too expensive for someone who's just doing maybe $100,000 a month. So for us, we like to work with people that are exceeding $100,000 and they want to get to $1 million, or they're doing $1 million a month and they want to get to 5, vice versa. Yeah, they already have they have a proven offer, and they have a price point that's 5 to 25 to 30 to 40, whatever it might be.
And I'm sure have good lead gen.
Lead gen,
or do you help with lead gen too?
No, we do because we have to, because when we mostly come in, they don't have it dialed in. So then all of our experience, again, when I said working with some of the best, you get to see some of the common threads, right? And get to see what doesn't work, like 5-day challenges versus webinars versus VSL funnels versus a Facebook group. Like we've seen all of that. We've seen
what works best.
Why they all work best.
They all work
That's
best.
the thing. There is not one that's those are just modalities. It's who works those modalities the best.
Got it. That's an important distinction.
Like there's some people they're just amazing at Facebook generating community and all that. Great, go do that. There's others that I got to do a Facebook community because that's what someone told me to do.
Right, and I
Success.
hate
being in it. My heart's not in it. It doesn't work, right?
That guy that we talked about that we took from 0 to 600,000 a month, and like truly 0, like literally, like we met and like he's like, what should we sell? And anyway, with him, like he was kind of shy, and like we got him to a place where he could do ads, and like he was good at that because he would just bang them out in an Airbnb. But he never got to a point where he was comfortable in front of the community. So even though we wanted him to grow a community, and maybe that would have taken him to $1 million, he was just like, I can't do this at the level it needs to be done. And so we just didn't. It was like we had it from a customer service perspective, but it was not your traditional like heat up the leads in the community situation.
That's really interesting. It's interesting too that he knew his own limitations and didn't want to push past it.
Yeah, I mean, we pushed a little bit.
I'm sure you pushed out a little bit. Of course.
But fear will always hold us back, right?
Yeah.
That's really cool. Okay, so we know the difference between you and other sales floors. We kind of know what your pricing is. If I could wave like a magic wand, because it sounds like you, at this level, you can't just do your boutique. You're not like, if you're doing this much,
we're not scaled. Like
you're not like scale. You're boutique. Like you're very specialized.
So we take four to 5 partners a year, if that.
That's what I was thinking.
And it's great partners, and because again, an average partner for us is going to pay us $500,000 to $1 million a year.
Right.
But that's also because we generate them.
Generating, right? Exactly. So, this is like a very fair trade.
So for us, it's the right partner and they want to scale and they're ready for scale. Not like when I always say Kayvon's at 2015, who I wanted to scale back then. I was ready to scale. I had no reason to scale. I was, failing. It just didn't work, right? Just because you have an idea doesn't mean it's going to be something that can scale. I see a lot of business out there. If there's any advice I can give business owners, because I think one of the biggest issues I'm starting to see a lot right now is business owners are so scared of selling. They don't realize that we are all doing sales. You cannot be a business and not be selling, right?
Totally.
But they're so scared of it that they want to just hire a salesperson right away because they think a salesperson is going to solve their problem. And a salesperson is never going to solve a marketing problem.
No.
And marketing is never going to solve a salesperson's problem. And majority of the time, they don't have a sales problem. They got a marketing problem. They have an offer problem. They got a positioning problem. They got a conversation problem that they're having with their audience. So I always say this, if you're an owner of the business and you haven't even sold it yourself, how do you expect someone else to sell it?
Totally.
Right?
You can't.
You can't. And you don't have to sell a lot. So I'm not saying go sell for days. I'm just saying if you can't even sell 3 or 4 of them yourself, there's no way a salesperson is going to sell it.
No.
Because the most person that has the highest authority is the owner.
And the most belief in it.
Yeah.
So if you can't do that, that's really interesting.
And you should feel comfortable to have conversations with your customers and your prospective customers. Like you'll learn a ton. You learn about your marketing flow and your marketing motion and what's working and what's not working. Like it's really great intel when you're starting and just trying to figure it out.
That's cool. Yeah. I have questions for you. I hear these like sales things thrown around. I hear a lot like hired 2 salespeople, not 1. Hired 2 setters, not 1.
Yeah.
Besides the obvious reason that 1 may not work out, and then you're like rehiring, like, what is the motivation behind that?
So I'll start and feel free to pick up. So number 1 is actually churn. and redundancy. Number two is oftentimes these people are remote and it can be lonely, and sales is a lonely job. Kayvon, you can speak to it better than I can. But like having someone there, especially if you don't have a toxic sales environment, which is something you really want to avoid, can be helpful. And then they also compete against each other. And so like, you know, when you're going for a run and you're running with someone in front of you, like you will run faster to kind of keep pace with them. So those are some of the reasons that, I mean, if you
sales is lonely. Sales is lonely. It's a hard job, especially high ticket sales by yourself. So when you're alone by yourself, you're not making sales, it's so easy to be disengaged and walk away. And sometimes you need proof. Like salespeople need to see the proof themselves. They need another salesperson to make the sale, to validate, okay, it's possible. It's, you know, the Roger Bannister story. I'm not sure if
he's doing it, I can do it too.
Right? You know Roger Bannister?
4 Minute Mile.
Oh, okay. I'm not a big runner, obviously.
Okay, so
it's worthwhile. It's worthwhile for sure.
Back, I think it was 62. The universal belief was that you can't run the mile in under 4 minutes, and if you did, your heart couldn't actually handle the chest cavity, couldn't handle your heart, and it would blow up. Like that's what the fun of like doctors and scientists believe that, right? Except one day, Roger Bannister showed up and he ran the minute mile in 3 minutes and 59 seconds. Wow. He defied a belief that scientists and all these people said that wasn't possible. But that's not the part of the story that's interesting. What's interesting is 6 days later, someone else beat it. And 36 days after that, another person beat it. And today, over 4,000 people beat it, including high school kids.
Wow.
Why? Because when all those people showed up to the track, a new belief was born, was it's possible. I can do it. And that's the same thing of why you would want to hire 2 setters and 2 sales reps.
What other beliefs do you think are important? Because you're behind the scenes with all these like amazing entrepreneurs that are really scaling their business. So from like a financial standpoint, they're a success, right? I also believe that success is also other things like great relationships with your spouses, your partners, yourself, like, right? But from a financial perspective, they're obviously doing really well and scaling. What are some of the beliefs that you guys see them having that are different than other companies that you work with? Or you're also part of different masterminds, you're also speaking, you're on podcasts. So you guys have an opportunity to see a lot of different types of entrepreneurs. I'm really curious.
I'm curious to see what Mark says. Sure, I'll go after.
I'll pick one. So there's a guy that Kayvon and I have done some work with that we respect a lot. He's senior. I think his business has been doing over 50 million a year for a number of years. And one of the ways that he operates differently, and I know it's like, I remember going through business school and people talk about culture, and then I went through corporate and I went through healthcare and people talk about culture, and you've got like your mission, vision, and values, and it was like lip service. It was like such below what I thought it was. And then you see someone do it really amazingly and correctly. And so anyway, this individual, he like leads from the front. He absolutely eats his own dog food and like follows the mission. And it's like his job to install that software across his people. And every single person on the team will work like longer and harder than the next company, do work faster than the next company, put in the extra mile, because like they're all living that shared culture together. And like you don't see everyone do that, but like he's basically a company running for itself, like by itself as a result of installing that software, which was like his culture.
That's really interesting. That reminds me of Dan Martell. I watched him.
Dan's great at that too.
That was honestly the first person. I worked with over 2,500 companies before I started working with him. And I worked with a lot of people, like similar to you. And when I met him and his team, and I worked with his team for like the last 6 months, helping them build their affiliate program, I was like, wow, this, like once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Oh, it's like they're running on a software.
Yeah,
it's
like whoa. Yeah. Like every single person was an A player because he develops leaders inside of his business, and he eats his own dog food, like you're saying. Like it was, I have seen a lot of lip service in this industry, and I have seen very few that actually do it. He was my North Star for that. That's exactly what
he's a great example.
He's the real deal. Yeah.
I was going to say a purpose-driven individual will far outrun a money-driven individual.
Talk more about that.
Well, actually, in Daniel Pink's book called To Sell is Human, they actually did a study on this. You're tuning my whole talk tomorrow, but they did So they did a study, and they took 3 kind of groups, and they for sales specifically, and they took group A who went out and they only motivated them purely extrinsically, right? So like about commissions and bonuses and stuff like that. Then they took the second group who was more extrinsic and intrinsic, and then they took the third group was intrinsic. So intrinsic, purpose-driven mission. So not commissions, not money, nothing. And over time, the intrinsic group had way more success. They were way more fulfilled. They showed up for work earlier, stayed later, and they solved more problems and opportunities and had way more success than people that were driven by just money or even the mix, which is interesting.
That's interesting.
Because you think the mix is there, but and then so we actually have an assessment, which is funny, is because we assess all of our salespeople, and one of the things we look at is intrinsic, extrinsic. And then ultralist, if they're ultralist, they're not a good salesperson. But
how do you handle that? Like, you need the people in the middle, right? Because you need people that are inspired by purpose and by money because they're pure sales.
So it's not. I don't think it's one or the other. It's you can be inspired by money, but if I'm going to motivate you, what happens if someone who's only motivated by money, when the money changes, it's over, and the money always changes.
Of course it does.
But when you get someone who's not just motivated by money, but motivated by the mission, by the possibility, something that's bigger, greater than them, then the money just becomes the bonus, not something that they're striving for.
That's cool.
Right?
Man, that makes a lot of sense though, because I think about me, like, and either jobs that I've had or businesses that I've had that have failed, it's like, I feel like the purpose, like even this company, right? It's an event company. Look how much extra work we do the most. Like, we're like, my team had 2 hours of sleep. I had 4 hours of sleep. Like but like you can't really tell because we love it. Like we love what we're doing.
Well, I could tell. You can tell.
Yeah.
You know, I forgot this. I was going to say this tomorrow. Is the reason I could tell is the day that I didn't show up for one of your, we had 3 masterminds. We don't go to any of them.
Yeah.
Never got one email. Not one email where you guys, no, they don't give a shit.
Yeah.
You were the only email. Like I remember you had a meetup. The next day I got an email. Wasn't a generic email, personalized email. Kayvon, noticed you weren't there. Is everything okay? You're busy. How can we serve you?
I got a Slack DM.
And I was Slack, whatever. It was Slack and an email, whatever it was. But I was like, there's someone who knows how to take care of their people right there. That little thing to me goes the distance.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool because it actually made me feel like I was part of something, not just a number, right?
Yeah.
So
I noticed. I mean, I think that's the thing. It's like this group could be a lot bigger. But I'm very, like, up until this year, we've never run an ad. Like, I just did a voiceover script for an ad and felt very uncomfortable. I'm sure, like, I don't know how it's going to go, but my choice is to believe that it will work because now I feel like we have a really good core of entrepreneurs that I trust to lead this next group of entrepreneurs coming in. And it's been all by design. Like, the curation of this is so important. You either came into this group by invitation or because I recruited you. There's no other way for you to come in.
Yeah.
And like, I do notice every time someone's on a call, I do notice because in my mind, it's like, I'm trying to make let's say it's a stew, right? We're putting everything in a cauldron. Every person is a specific ingredient. Yeah. And we're missing that, it changes the dynamic of the room and it weakens us. Like, that's why I was excited when you guys were like, yeah, I want to join. I'm like, oh, great. We've had no like high ticket sales people in here. And I know there's quite a few of us that do that. So to me, I was excited because not only did we solve like, a key weakness, I think, in the community because we didn't have that, but we added 2 new incredible men into the community. That's a huge benefit for all of us. So I do notice. And I hope to keep that like same thing as we grow, because I do think that one of the reasons why you buy a mastermind as an entrepreneur is because you want to feel like a part of the community.
Well, yeah.
A lot of that's lip service because I've been in a lot of
that.
No, it's not lip service, especially with a remote. Like,
I think she was saying lip service of like people like saying that you're a community, but there's not actually a community.
Oh yeah,
right.
100%. Yeah. This is definitely a community. But I was going to echo your point there around like running a company and being an entrepreneur is definitely like a lonely.
It's very lonely. And you got to know who do you have that. It's not like when I'm in a corporate setting and I got to go ask my boss the answer or something, and he can go ask his boss, and his boss can go ask his boss. Like, and there's support there. You don't get that support in entrepreneurship. It's a long, scary, journey, right?
It is lonely.
And lonely for sure.
Totally. I mean, who are you going to share your stresses with? Like, if you're an entrepreneur right now, are you going to go talk to your wife? Like, if the business is failing, you're going to freak her out, right? So it's like, okay, well, she might notice you're stressed. your stress level is different, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
But you don't want to come to and be like, I'm worried we're going to lose the fucking house.
Yeah.
Right? So there's that. Your non-entrepreneur friends, like they don't understand. Like, must be a nice problem to have a $250,000 tax bill. Like that must be nice, right? So that's hard. And then you like try talking to your team. You're not going to do that. You don't want to rattle them. So now when you have problems, then you have your other entrepreneurs in your life. But there's a lot of people that don't really want to share because we now have this whole ego thing where like I'm successful and the illusion of success is so important and I can't share my failures, which is why like building this community, it's like we're all badasses, but I hope we also know that like it's okay to experience a down year, 2 down years. You know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff is
I think real. We're going to be going into one. We're going to go.
I believe that.
Like we're going to be going into down. I mean, we're seeing it like, and I hate saying it because I don't like speaking I don't like speaking it into the existence.
Yeah.
So that's why I hate saying it. But the truth is like the market's flat right now and it's probably going to dip down. But in the back of my head, I think of people like Grant Cardone, it's bullshit, go harder. Yeah, he's right. You can go harder and harder. But majority of people don't have that ability and they can't do that. And they're, financially strapped or whatever it might be. So I'm always just telling like you got to ride it out. Like business is up, like life's up, life's down, right? Sometimes you feel good, sometimes you feel like you don't. But life goes around. You got to keep going. You asked earlier, I didn't get to answer it because I think there's quite a bit there. But you asked what do these guys have that others don't? These super successful guys have. I was going to say one of the things I'm going to say is they take fast, massive action. They don't think about it. There's no thinking about it. There's no fear. Right? They don't take days to make decisions. They're quick decision makers because they know like inaction is an action, right?
Right.
And then what I was going to say is, as an overall with success, where I truly believe, even Tony Robbins, he wakes up. We all wake up every single day with fears. We're not good enough. Can't do it. Imposter syndrome, whatever it might be. The difference is the distance between left and right, the distance between them letting their fear rule their decisions and rule their day, and people who operate out of fear who then end up being paralyzed, versus those who wake up, they feel it, but they shut it down right away. And they live in a place what I call is faith. And I'm not talking about faith in religion. I'm talking faith in oneself, faith in ability, faith that I know I'm going to do good, be good, and it's going to work out. That's the biggest difference.
That's amazing, dude. That feels and it rings true to me like as well. That's really cool.
That's what I fight every day internally, and that's what motivates me is like
these 6 inches in between our ears are some of the most difficult 6 inches ever. Like it's lonely. It's so lonely, dude. That's why I love that you guys are here, that we can talk about this stuff, and love that we have 2 badass sales like professionals in here because we're all doing sales, right? We all have some of us have our own teams. We all have that, but like to have 2 people that I trust that we can call on as a community that are operating at this level and treating their customers like partners, that's what resonates with me. So just really grateful for you guys. I could talk to you all day, but I know you guys are also experts in a room and we got to go put you in there again. So thank you guys for spending time with me today. Thank you for raising your hand saying yes. Thank you for serving. You guys are working here. And I'm super grateful. And, obviously anything I can do for you and support you guys, I'm going to do it, including this, because I know you don't need a lot of clients. You guys are very selective. So hopefully someone's going to hear this and be like, I want to work with this type of company.
We always need clients.
Right?
We always need clients, but it's about the right clients.
The right ones.
In order to be effective, you got to be selective.
Yes. I like that, dude. I like that. Well, we'll end there on that high note, dude. I mean, how am I going to top that?
Try to end it for you.
I love it, dude. Crushed it. All right, boys. Thank you. Fucking go.
As we wrap up today's episode, we have something special just for you. If you've been inspired by what we've explored today and you're ready to take your learning to the next level, then our 4 Rooms Mastermind live event is the perfect next step. And because you're a part of our podcast family, we're offering an exclusive 10% discount on your registration when you apply and are accepted. This is your chance. It's your chance to build relationships with other ambitious entrepreneurs like yourself, to dive deeper into the 4 rooms of entrepreneurship, and to connect with experts who can truly help accelerate your growth. Simply follow the event link in the description of this episode and use the promo code 4rooms10. That's FOURROOMS10 on your application to claim this opportunity. This offer is subject to application approval and it's limited, so don't wait too long to make your decision. Join us and transform your journey with the insights and networking that only our live events can offer. Thank you for tuning in today. We look forward to seeing you at the event and, of course, right back here next time on the 4 Rooms podcast. Until then, keep balancing and keep growing. If you're looking to get even more from the 4 Rooms podcast, you don't want to miss our exclusive newsletter. This is your personal invitation to join a community of like-minded entrepreneurs who are all about balancing health, wealth, scale, and relationships. Each week, we're going to bring you additional insights, tips, early announcements, and other information that we just can't fit into this podcast episode. Plus, it's a great way to keep the conversation going and ensure you never miss a beat in your entrepreneurial journey. It's easy to subscribe. Just visit 4roomsmastermind.com, scroll to the bottom of the page, and enter your email. That's 4roomsmastermind.com, and just enter your email. We promise to keep things light, keep your inbox interesting, informative, and fun. Join the 4 Rooms community today, and let's grow together.